All right, good morning. We're going to get started. We're going to have speakers in this order. We're going to have speakers individually first, then a short Q&A following that. And we're going to start with Chief Lopez and followed by Mayor Bell, Assistant Chief Rick Pendergrass, District Attorney Roger Eccles, and we're going to end with Reverend Mark Anthony Middleton. Chief.
Yes, first of all, it's a very exciting morning as we have a collaboration here in the city. Going out to Boston to identify and look at different programs relative to homicides, and hopefully during this trip our unit here all together can come up and identify things that we can use here in the city of Durham in order to address the issues that we have with violence in our city. So with that, I'm going to give the floor to Mayor Bill Bell.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. Let me give a little bit of background behind the upcoming trip that the Chief has described. As probably many of you know, during the early part of the year, we began to see sort of an uptick in violent crime in our community. And I want to hasten to add that this is not unique to Durham, and this is what's happening across the country. But obviously we're concerned with what's happening here in Durham. And I'd had some conversations with some other mayors around the country, one in particular, the mayor of Gary, Indiana, and she had told me the experience she had with the Department of Justice coming into her community and providing sort of a roadmap for helping them in looking at that. So I contacted the U.S. Department of Justice and basically told them some of the issues we were concerned with here in Durham and wanted to know if they would be able to provide any type of assistance. And they readily said yes. And they came in, I guess, about a year ago. And they spent a considerable amount of time in the community, not just with the police department, talking to other community leaders, staff, and et cetera. And as a result, they've pretty much outlined sort of a roadmap that they felt might be of help to us as we try to deal with this issue of violent crime. And a part of that roadmap is to have certain visits to certain police communities that they felt were doing some things that were very helpful. The first of which is Boston, and that's what you're going to hear about today. And another trip that's being planned is in Kansas City, Missouri. But again, today this trip is about the one in Boston. We don't expect to have a final solution to dealing with what's happening with violent crime. We're looking at as much help as we can get from wherever. And certainly starting with the Department of Justice, I think, is the appropriate place to start. So I'm going to turn it over to Chief Pendergrass, and just made you Chief.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning, everyone. Just want to echo a couple of things that Mayor Bell said, Chief Lopez said. You know, there's room for improvements in any organization, and the Durham Police Department is always looking at ways to improve. And working with the Department of Justice is just one step in that direction. It's always beneficial to get a chance to see how other police departments operate, and we appreciate this opportunity, look forward to this visit. The group here will be going to Boston, looking at how Boston Police Department operates in areas of community engagement, homicide investigations, forensics, community policing, and youth initiatives. This department's a strong organization, but we can only get stronger if we take action and look at ways to improve. And I want this community, I think it's important to know for this community that we take violent crime very serious and gun violence very serious. And we're focused on engaging the members of our community, and we're going to continue to do what's important to make Durham a safe place. Thank you.
Good morning. First of all, I'd just like to say I'm very happy to be a part of the delegation. I'd also like to recognize that partnerships are very vital to what all of us do, to achieving success in what we do and achieving our goals. I think we all would admit that our biggest goal is improving the quality of life in our communities. And this trip and the work that we're doing here is an opportunity to strengthen those relationships to help us achieve those goals. I would like to get information as to how we can strengthen our relationship with the police department so we can better work together to deliver on the duties and the jobs that we are sworn to do. It's also an important partnership with the city, but most importantly, it's the biggest partnership that we all need is to have with the community, and this will hopefully help us get ideas to where we can partner with the community and help the community do and achieve not just safety, but just a better quality of life for all our community. So I'm very excited to be working with all the people behind me right now. But it's important that we work together, and it's important that we continue to seek those partnerships with other members of government, community leaders, and the community itself. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Manager, and Chief Lopez for this opportunity. To be asked as a private citizen to serve your city beyond paying taxes and serving on jury duty and voting is a high honor, and I don't take it lightly, so I'm honored to be a part of this delegation. My participation in the public square around discussions of a community police relationship is certainly no secret. It's been pretty well documented, but critique for the sake of critique itself is a waste of time. Critique without construction is a waste of time. So I'm very pleased to be part of this trip and taking steps towards constructing and building and improving the relationship between the community and the police. My participation is animated by a fundamental understanding that the badge that our police wear, the authority of that badge is not exotic. It is not intrinsic or inherent. It is a conferred authority. It is a bestowed authority by we the people. And therefore, we have an obligation to our police, to ourselves, to work with our police, to support them, to find ways to improve our relationship, because the authority is not exotic. It is a shared authority. It is a contract and a shared understanding. So my mission in Boston is twofold. One, I'm going to learn and to listen. I'm going to caucus with community and faith leaders while in Boston to hear and to engage them and to press them about what worked in their city. Boston, of course, is a great American city and a great repository of American history and culture, but our city is pretty great as well. So I'm looking to jack whatever we can from them, and then secondly, to come back and engage my colleagues here in the city and other community leaders, perhaps even cajole them to talk about new and innovative ways, and perhaps see if there's something that we can learn, that we've learned in Boston, that can be applied in Durham. This is an amazing city. We've got amazing people here. This is an amazing police department, an amazing leadership team, and I'm excited about the future. And I hope this trip to Boston will be just one in a multi-pronged approach to making our city better. Thank you.
So at this point, we open the floor for questions. I'd like to try to keep it focused on the Boston trip, Boston. Chris.
Mayor Bell, why Boston?
Well, again, that was the decision that the Department of Justice made. They looked around the country and looked at our situation and looked at what was being done in other cities, and they felt two cities that would be models for what we were trying to do would be Boston and Kansas City. And as I said, today we'll focus on the Boston trip. Later on you'll hear about the Kansas City trip.
Did they give a specific reason why Boston is working or what Boston is doing right?
Well, again, I think that's what we're going to find out, or they're going to find out when they go there. But I think they looked at the fact that we had a high rate of violent crime, we had homicides, and looking at the demographics of our city, they just felt that Boston would be an appropriate city for us to take a first look at in terms of trying to deal with some of the issues that we have.
What you've learned so far, Mayor, what is it about Boston in particular that catches your eye as potentially beneficial for the city?
Well, again, let me say from my own experience, having been in the city of Boston, although Boston is a much larger city, it had the demographics somewhat looked to a certain extent by Durham. It's a very diverse city. There are neighborhoods which are probably less underprivileged than others. There are pockets of poverty in some parts of the city. They had experienced a high rate of crime. They've been able to bring that down. And I think they're all the things that DOJ thought were appropriate for what was happening here in Durham that we might be able to learn from in Boston. But again, I don't want to prejudge the trip. The purpose of the trip is to go there for these people to find out specifically what Boston has done and see how it might apply to what we're trying to do here in Durham.
Is this the first kind of a trip you guys have taken as a delegation?
It will be in terms of since we've begun this effort. And again, we don't expect this is going to solve all the issues. As Police Pendergraft said, we're open to trying to learn from wherever people are doing something that we think we might be able to take. We don't have a monopoly on this issue. And so we're trying to find out what can we do and what others are doing that might benefit what we're trying to do here in Durham.
Chief Lopez?
Yes.
Question. I know you only have a few weeks left as your role as chief, but is there any reason why you're not joining the delegation on the trip to Boston?
I wouldn't have joined the delegation anyway. It is the staff that actually has the boots to the ground, and they're the ones who actually do it. So, you know, for me, it would just be a vacation. For them, they're actually going to be working, and I think that that's what's important. And like it's been said, this is a city that was chosen by the Department of Justice. It wasn't a city that we chose, and we're going to go through their expertise and go behind what they've recommended to see if in Boston we can find something that may help us. It could also be that Boston may find something because of the value of this police department that will help them. So it could be a win-win situation.
Are you concerned at all about, I mean, obviously part of the reason is violent crime. Are you concerned at all about the homicide rate?
I'm always concerned about the homicide rate in the beginning of the year when the first one comes out for the year, and that starts to concern.
And Mayor Bell, the same question to you. Are you concerned at all about the homicide rate?
Well, I'm concerned about any level of violent crime that we have in the city. If any of you know me, that's an issue that I've been talking about since I became mayor. And let me say this. You know, and I know, violent crime has its cycles. Fortunately, up until 2013, we'd seen a decrease in violent crime. And when I talk about that, I mentioned that at our council meeting last night. Durham is a growing city now. I mean, we're the 4th largest city in the state of North Carolina, 250,000+ people. So when you have growth, you're going to have challenges, not the least of which is the issue of crime. But if you look at how we measure crime, how the FBI measures crime in terms of incidents per 100,000, that has been steadily going down since 2001. And we just saw an uptick in what's happening in 14 and now obviously what's happening in 2015. So we're trying to get ahead of the curve, realizing that some things we can control, some things we can't control, but things we can control, we want to make sure we focus on. The things we can't control, we've got to find a way how we can get a better handle on those also.
And just to be clear, this was part of the recommendations that the DOJ made
Yes,
earlier this
yes,
year?
yes. They made some other recommendations, but this is one of the recommendations that they made.
All right, guys,